Well, it isn't often that we pop on a Saturday night, but here we are on a Saturday night with winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up for parts of eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. We are going to, of course, take a look at everything that is going on and then some tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support by shopping on Amazon. Our referral link is pinned to the description to this podcast on YouTube. Just use that link to get you to Amazon. Do your shopping. Amazon throws us a little bit of coin for sending you there, and that means that we can do the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, the live version, commercial free. And still time before Christmas. Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the description of this podcast. Use that coupon code Joe Rayo.
And it is autumn. I know we're talking about winter weather. I can't change it. Excuse me?
It's not like cannot change the coupon code right now.
I understand, but we're still officially in autumn for another week or so, astronomically speaking. Autumn 2025, and if you use that coupon code, you can pick up a 10% discount with anything that you purchase at the Tempest website.
And you gave him the 10%?
Yes, the 10%, right?
Okay, very good.
It hasn't changed.
I'm just a little bit distracted tonight, so don't mind me. Very interesting day with this weather system that, just a few days ago, we're trying to struggle with the idea of whether we were going to get anything at all. I was kind of leaning that we would get something, just didn't know what. But the last 2 days, it's been an unusual experience in that you and I have been on this long enough where we get things like this, and it starts out the other way, where it starts like it's going to be something substantial, and then as we get closer and closer, the precip is less and less and less. And in this case, it was the opposite. Every time as we got closer, every run of model guidance since yesterday was not much, but just enough of amount that you noticed the difference. A little bit more snow, a little bit more precip. And, it kind of looks to me like it's going to be an area-wide, maybe inland areas, north and northwest and northeast of New York City. Let's call it 4-2. In other words, the further south you are, the more you get. The further less north you are, you get less. And then right along the coastal plain, I'm thinking every bit of 3-6, and maybe some jackpot numbers for somebody.
It is conceivable. It's not out of the question that places on Long Island, for example, could pick up in excess of 4 inches of snow up here. I know that a lot of people were talking about maybe an inch or two, maybe. But now, I honestly think that Westchester and Rockland will be in the 2 to 4. We'll show you my map in just a little bit, but 2 to 4 for Rockland and Westchester, and maybe something like 1 to 2 further north. But in general, it looks like we are going to have enough snow for you to shovel tomorrow morning, regardless of where you are.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it is starting out actually with temperatures above freezing. This happens a lot. Everybody seems to think that somehow it's never happened that we start out with temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s, and we wind up with a substantial amount of snowfall. It happens every single winter, at least once or twice, particularly toward the end of the winter season, where you have these daytime temperatures that are on the warmish side, but the upper atmosphere is really what matters here, and the upper atmosphere is cold. And it's not going to take much precip and some vertical motion to suddenly take the temperatures down below freezing. I think, Joe, that when we get to after midnight, and particularly as we get to like 3 or 4 a.m., a lot of spots are going to be down at 30 or less, especially if they're getting a steady light to moderate snow.
Right now, here at the home base in Putnam Valley, we have 32 degrees. The dew point temperature is 25. The radar shows that seemingly it is snowing, but it is not, at least here. It's virga. It's evaporating before getting down to the ground, but you wait a little bit. Maybe in the next couple of hours, the atmosphere will moisten up and allow for the snowflakes to make it all the way down to the ground. And Joe, the ground is cold, so I have no reason to believe that we're going to, start off with, snow hitting the ground and melting or whatever like that. It's going to start sticking immediately. And, people look at the numbers that the computers are coming out with in terms of snow accumulation. Don't, you really shouldn't do that. Just think logically. Think that if it snows, even if it snows, let's say from midnight tonight to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, if it snows at the rate of a half an inch, there's your 4 inch total. If it snows only at a quarter of an inch an hour, you still got 2 inches to shovel or broom off tomorrow morning. So and the other thing to consider, is it going to be a 10-to-1 ratio, or as the snow starts coming down, will the temperatures throughout the column, throughout the atmosphere, cool down enough to get, let's say, into the upper and middle 20s? If so, it's going to be a little bit more than 10-to-1. It may be more like 11 or 12-to-1, a slight little puff factor, if you will, with the snow that'll be falling overnight tonight. But no matter which way you slice it or dice it, and you're absolutely right, up until last night late, the only ones who had a winter weather advisory were New York City, Long Island, and portions of northern and central New Jersey. But they being the National Weather Service, the Upton folks out in eastern Long Island, they have moved that winter weather advisory northward to encompass Rockland, Westchester, even right up here in Putnam County. So you're right. They have noticed, and we have noticed that with each passing run, not a tremendous increase, but a subtle increase in the amounts and potential for a significant snowfall. And that's what we're thinking of right now.
All right, get your snow map ready. Kenneth, with a bunch of letters after it, I know who it is. Thank you so much for hitting the tip jar to kick off this special Saturday night Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And thanks to Delaware weather guy who's prepared his snowfall forecast map, and he has it out as well. You can probably see it on Facebook under Delaware weather guy. And Richard Bond, thank you for banging the tip jar here on this Saturday night Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. It's most appreciated. So while Joe's getting his map, I just want to go over a few things that are going on with respect to warnings. We have winter storm warnings up for a handful of counties in southwest New Jersey, as well as southeastern Pennsylvania. It's wrapped around with the winter weather advisories that have now been pushed up a little bit further north in Connecticut. Up until this afternoon, it was basically south of I-95. Now we're going to go a handful of miles north of I-95 into the lower Hudson Valley, Long Island, all of northern New Jersey now in a winter weather advisory, all of Delaware, much of the Delmarva Peninsula, and even down to Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. Now there's a gap in central Pennsylvania, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then we go back to winter storm warnings in southwest PA, much of West Virginia, the southern half of Ohio, much of central and into southern Indiana, and back through central Illinois. That is the main player, the Arctic boundary, the wave that's going to start to develop in probably somewhere in eastern Virginia or in Chesapeake Bay, and then begin to move to the east-northeast. But that space in the middle is because when we get weather systems like this, where they come across, the snow can't make it over the mountains. It dries up. But the energy makes it over the mountains, and the energy is ample, and you start to see the snow, sort of dry up as it comes into central Pennsylvania, and then it magically reappears on the other side. And if you look at the radar tonight, that's exactly what we're seeing here. You're seeing some precip on the other side breaking out, and then all of this stuff back through PA, central PA is aloft, and then you have where snow is actually reaching the ground across Ohio and southwest Pennsylvania into West Virginia. Now, the stuff that's along the coastal plain is part of the development of this low that's going to head out to the northeast. So we'll see the radars fill in rather quickly, probably in the next 3 to 4 hours. And Robert Lomnicki, thank you also for banging the tip jar on this Saturday night. So Joe's got his snowfall forecast map, and we're going to put it up here. And there it is. The technology that goes behind this map, Joe, it's just fabulous.
Well, I tell you, Joe, this map that you see here, I prepared yesterday. Did I prepare it yesterday? Yeah, I did. didn't see any reason whatsoever to update because, I felt from the onset that we were looking at a potential for 2 to 4 inches. And even though the National Weather Service yesterday did not have a winter weather advisory posted for, let's say, Westchester County, I still felt, or Rockland County, I felt 2 to 4 was certainly within the possibility of or potential. Now, the interesting thing is that if you look at this map, you will happen to be located right about here, where you see the cursor right there. So I'm right near the boundary between 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. So that suggests to me that I'm going to probably finish out tomorrow with at least 2, maybe 3 inches of snow. The question is, will I need to break out the snowblower for the first time, or will I just simply scrape? That's one question. And the other thought that goes into mind here is, of course, that places to the north should see somewhat less. But look, from the Westchester Putnam line all the way north up past Poughkeepsie, you've got the potential, I think, here of at least an inch or two. You have to go as far north as Albany to get only a coating or a trace to maybe an inch. So the general outlook, I think, for the lower Hudson Valley in general, and also for a good hunk of, in fact, all of Connecticut, is anywhere from 1 to 4 inches as you go from north to south. I have 2 to 4 for Long Island and for New York City and for most of north central New Jersey, but there's certainly the possibility if we have, as the storm system revs up offshore, if it develops any kind of localized snow banding, and that most likely would happen along the coastal plain. So you folks who may be watching on Long Island, don't be surprised if we tomorrow see amounts of 5 or even 6 inches, especially from central Long Island east to the Twin Forks area. That is certainly a possibility with this type of a system. But I felt, generally speaking, this is what you should expect tomorrow. You should expect to wake up tomorrow, look out the window, and see snow. And for many of you, it will be your first significant snowfall, your first shovelable snowfall
Shovelable.
of the season coming up.
All right, now I'm going to do mine here. When I draw my snow maps, I encompass areas from southeastern New England all the way down to Virginia and Maryland. Joe, we have our viewers there that watch, so they would love to see you put a bigger snow map up come next time around. So anyway, I actually made a final call this morning. If I had waited till this evening, and I would probably do this a little differently. So, and this morning I was thinking the 1 inch line in northern Dutchess County, the 2 inch line going. I'm thinking like maybe right across Joe Rayo's backyard in Putnam County, and the 3 inch line in northern Westchester, or cutting across southern Westchester, and I had this sort of broad area of 3 inches plus from extreme southern Connecticut and southeastern Mass, Long Island, New York City, northeast New Jersey, and pulling southward in the state, going into southeast Pennsylvania, and even pushing into south central Pennsylvania. So if I had to do it over again, which I really should, I also covered this morning for the possibility that there were going to be locally higher amounts. So if you were inside that 3 inch area, I was really kind of going for 3 or 4. If I was doing this now, I think my 3 inch line would be where my 2 inch line is, my 2 inch line with a 1 inch line, and maybe have this as a 4 inch line, and talk about maybe locally higher amounts to 6 or 7 inside this band. Now, anytime we get a snow event like this, uh, there's always a jackpot zone, and there's always probably an area that gets less than what was forecast. I'm suspecting that we'll probably see uh, both concepts being played out here, uh, because it's really extremely difficult to try to figure out. We've seen these type of systems, and you have the general snowfall amount that you could just sort of smooth out on a map, and then you wind up with some area that's got double what everybody else has. So I'm anticipating that there are going to be some surprises here in both directions. There are probably going to be more upside surprises than downside surprises, and I'm thinking also that a lot of the steadier snow pushes down into the Washington D.C. Baltimore area. I had a 1 inch line going through Washington and two for Baltimore, so I'm kind of okay with that. But the rest of it, I think I would have gone maybe a little bit more aggressive. Frank Gilroy, thank you for hitting the tip jar tonight. Most appreciated. I'm going to give you a heart. Thank you. And so I'm kind of on the same page with you. I guess maybe I'm just saying it in a bit of a different way, but I think I'm kind of on the same page with you.
You know, a lot of people, a lot of people will say, how come Rayo you don't, if you think that there's going to be locally heavier amounts, why don't you put it there? And the problem is that I really, you suspect that there may be locally heavy amounts. Sometimes it happens, but then sometimes it doesn't. And in an interview with Westchester Magazine back in 2020, the interviewer asked me, he says, "What do you think the great white whale is?" I mean, what is the one big thing that you wish you could, forecast? And I said, it's basically what we're looking at tonight. We're thinking that there may be snow banding somewhere, most likely again along the coastal plain, that could dump higher amounts than what we're anticipating, but we really don't know. It's some storms, that banding, that intensification happens almost like a snap of a finger, and then there are other storms where you're sitting there waiting, like you're watching the teapot and saying, come on, are you hot enough yet? Come on, come on, come on. And by the time it does warm up, the whole system is like to your east or offshore. So that's what we're looking at tonight. I agree with you. The only thing that you had that I didn't have, I didn't put a 3 inch line in, but if you take the 3 inch line away, Joe, and you look at the ISO Hyatts, the contours of snow amounts in inches, we're basically on the same page. And again, you and I both verbally said there could be locally higher amounts. Where it may be, we're not sure, but we're at least putting it out there tonight on the Joe and Joe show, so that I don't want people to come back, tomorrow Monday and say, what happened? We're not
Right.
going to you're not going to catch us in a Gomer pile. We are making the illusion that there could be surprise, 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 but where the surprise is going to be, we're not exactly sure. But the best chances of it happening, again, would be along the Jersey Shore, or maybe somewhere out across Long Island, most likely central and eastern Long Island. We'll see.
By the way, I have up the um, GFS 18Z. Dave Tolerance is on the chat board, and I'm glad he mentioned about the 18Z GFS. This model, Joe, has been the least aggressive of any of the models, and it finally today has caught up with everybody else. And now it's giving, basically 5 to 6 inches across Nassau and Suffolk County, a little bit less
Isn't that
around New York.
amazing?
What's that?
I said, isn't that amazing? The
I mean, it
GFS,
took it.
the GFS was the most suppressed of all the models. I mean, like the NAM and the Canadian model and the European and even the Icon. They were all saying that we would get not a tremendous amount of snow, but at least enough snow that you might have to break out the snow shovel for it. And the GFS, up until just the last 24 hours, was suppressing all of that. And in fact, there was a couple of runs where it was saying like, "What snow? There ain't going to be any snow. Not snow." Now it's finally, as you just said, it's caught up with all the other models.
Well, here's the 18Z European, which has 6 inch area in interior western and central Suffolk County, and it's got a 6 to 7 inch area in interior southern Monmouth County and northern Ocean County, and also mostly 3, 4, 5 inch amounts. White Plains 3.8, New York City 4.4, 4.3 for Wilmington, 3.2 for Baltimore. I mean, the models with this the last. This is why, folks, you got to. I get probably a little bit too emotional about it, but I often see in situations like this, you start to see um, certain, you know, people making sort of what I would call obvious statements. Like, in other words, it's a lazy forecast. in my view. I'm trying to fix this. Hold on a second. Let me just trying to fix this because I cannot seem to get pivotal on the screen for some reason. Um, Give me a moment here. I want to show everybody. It's really strange. All right, I know it's in black. Just give me a minute here. I'm just trying to fix this up. Um, got my final call. Well, you know what? Let me try it this way. I'm going to move pivotal to my other side. Why did that happen? There we go. Let's put it tab. I'm sorry, folks. Just bear with me on because I want to get this map on the air. And let's see if I can now do this. Okay, so now you guys can see it. Okay, you should be able to see it now. But this was this is right now the European, which I'm going to adjust. Here we go. There it is. Just move the mouse up a little bit, and you can see the European tonight. This is the 18Z European, basically showing 4 to 7 inch snowfall in that heavier area. The models are all fairly consistent. So really, at this point, it's about the radar. And yes, the HRRR on the short range models. There's too many models, Joe. I can't take it. Here's the 23Z HRRR, and this goes out. Boy, this goes out. HRRR going out to look at the HRRR. It's got a band of 6 inches plus across, Burlington and Ocean counties in New Jersey, and then passing just south of the South Shore of Long Island to Nantucket and Hyannis, and 5+ inches, 5 to 6 inches or so across Long Island back to New York City. I mean, all the short range models are here. I mean, I can't believe at this point where we're just basically at the start of the event. So for the next 12 hours, we're not going to see very much in the way of changes going forward on these things. I think we're locked for whatever most of the forecasts are in that, say, 3 to 5, 4 to 6 inch range for the higher amounts, and of course the lower areas to the north getting a little bit less. But I think if you're on the high end of the forecast, uh, if you were putting out numbers and you were like higher than everybody else, I would feel very that to me that's a comfortable place to be tonight.
And we're all the people who just, what, a week or 10 days ago were saying winter is over?
Yeah, that's just they're just those are idiots. Those are just idiots. Uh, let's quickly look because we don't want to make Joe. It's a Saturday night, and the Jackie Gleason show is going to be coming on at any moment. So I want to just take a look. This is actually.
I rarely watch Jackie Gleason. I watched Flipper.
Oh, did you? Oh, because you were an NBC family.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to point out something. In early to mid-November, the mantra was that there was going to be a big warm-up over the second half of November. Didn't happen. Okay. Now, the last 10 days or so, the same trumpets are being sounded that a significant warm-up is going to happen for the next couple of weeks and beyond. And I'm just going to point out here: are we going to see temperatures moderate next week? Yeah, they are going to moderate. They're going to come off these -10 and -15 anomalies we've gotten used to. Are we going into a blowtorch pattern? Absolutely not. Okay, this is not a blowtorch look. I think the GFS has been really guilty of building ridging up in the east because it was doing something in the tropics that was building a ridge off the southeast coast, or even actually on the southeast coast and pushing it northward. If you look at today's runs, it's actually quite flat. And after Christmas, we go into a trough in the east, ridge in the west scenario. So, David was on Thursday's show talking about this, that the models might not be, the GFS in particular is probably not correct, trying to drive a deep trough in the west in the longer period. In the European, it's a little different with the European. in that it does have a trough off the west coast and a trough off the east coast in the longer term, but it still is trying to shove some some energy into the east right around Christmas time with some colder air. So it's if you think the blowtorch people are just absolutely out of control, off the wall with respect to where this goes in the longer range.
I agree. And you would not believe, I did go on social media last night, and you wouldn't believe how many weather related sites all were showing, the same thing blowtorch weather or extremely warm weather for Christmas, no chance for any, and it is going to warm up. I mean, we've had, I've lost count of how many consecutive days we've had temperatures below normal. It's time that we are going to see a bit of a warm up, and we may even get to 50 degrees on Thursday of this week. But if you think it's going to be a prolonged pattern of mild or warm temperatures taking us right on through the end of the year, I think not. I think once we get to the official start of winter, or maybe right around Christmas time, we'll see the pattern flip once again back to colder conditions. So it's so for all of you who thought that a week ago or 10 days ago, this is it. Well, we're not going to see any winter weather. It's going to be the same thing all over. Guess what? You're going to get your snow tomorrow, and there may be a lot more to come before this winter's out. Especially, I had this I don't want to call it a rule, but this interesting pattern where when New York City ends up with less than 3 inches of snow in December, they
Right.
end up with below normal snowfall. That's for New York City now. It's not necessarily for the environs, the areas surrounding New York. But this could very well put down more than 3 inches in New York. And what does that mean? That I found that virtually 90+% of the time, when you get more than 3 inches of snow in the month of December in New York City, it's an above normal snowfall year. So you may get the snows that you've been hoping for, at least in New York. And we'll see what happens for the upcoming season ahead.
By the way, do we have 100 likes?
I have my counter says 86. Let me
Uh, I can't see the counter.
hang on.
Steve Lapointe a little while ago said 87.
I
Rich
have
Rosniewski says
94. 94
93.
now.
94.
Yes.
All right, 95. 94. There's a Weisenheimer out there. There's always a Weisenheimer. Trying to, we get to 100 and then knocked it back down. Unbelievable. 107. Thank you very much, folks, for the 107 likes. You can ring the bell, Rail.
Yeah, there we go. Bell ring.
All right,
Yes.
so here's the deal, folks. Joe's got some personal issues to deal with tomorrow. I think if I do the show tomorrow, I will do it solo, and it'll probably be on the shortish side. So I am going to do. I'll update to let you know right now. There will be a show tomorrow night. I'll do it probably at around 7:30. I might move it up to 7 o'clock, uh, just so I can get it done over with early, and then I can watch a little football. But I'll let you know. So we'll do a show. You'll see what the time is when I put the show up on YouTube and open up the chat board. Okay. So I got it. Nothing. Yeah, you have anything else you want to add?
There's a slight chance that I could be here by 7. I'll keep you posted. There's a slight chance I could be here by 7:35 tomorrow night. If
Okay.
not, then if you want to move it up to 7 o'clock, be my guest.
Okay. Very good. All right, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the snow. And by the way, if you got snow amounts, you want to if you're attached to me on Facebook, or if you're on my Patreon subscription platform, please by all means leave me some snow amounts, because they're very helpful for me. So everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.